Good evening, guys. Yeah, it's good to be back online and we can catch up a little bit. I think this is going to be a bit of a really intense one. I'll try not to make it too intense though, just so that we can, quickly dive into the topic that I want us to talk about. I think in one of the last videos that I posted, I briefly mentioned about it, and then I was going to talk about it. I can't remember if I posted it, but if I did, it's somewhere online on one of the platforms that I post on. But yeah, I just wanted us to dive into the coming global famine because, for a very long time, people have looked at famine as an African problem. You see people like looking at Africa as a famine-stricken land or poverty-stricken land, let's put it that way. But I'm here to break it to you and to let you know that famine is no longer an African people problem. Because we like to attach certain problems to certain regions and certain people, but yeah, famine is no longer an African people problem as the more developed countries, likes to look at it and sort of like, um, yeah, dress African countries or the countries that are classed as third world countries as the famine-stricken countries. Like I said, this word is going to be a bit weighty and this topic is a bit weighty because it really is, but it's something that we need to talk about whether we like it or not, because global famine is coming and it will affect even the so-called rich countries that you least expect. So, you might live in America, in England, in France, in, what we would class as the, rich Western countries, I guess, so to speak. But, global famine is coming and it will affect many people. It will affect many countries. And I always like to put this disclaimer out to say, today you may laugh at this word, but soon enough you will remember it. You will remember this word soon enough. And you will remember that, oh my gosh, one day she did tell us about it and she tried to warn us about it. Like I always stress, I always say, this space is not a scaremongering or fearmongering blog or space, but rather a sounding of the alarm. God has placed watchmen on towers. Now, a watchman's job description is to watch and look out for danger. That's what a watchman does. And that's what this blog is about. It's like a watchman's tower where, you know, um, you're sounding the alarm, So I pray that those who have ears will hear very well because I believe God can never be mocked. So, we need to be careful about not taking heed when the word is given. Isaiah chapter 48 verse 3 reads, time and again I warned, cautioned, and hinted you about what was going to happen in the future. Then suddenly I took action and all my predictions came true. You can go read that for yourselves. Isaiah 48 verse 3. So, I just want to say that while we are living in the age of exposure, we're also living in the height, or we're also living at the height of deception. So make sure you watch that no man deceives you. So be cautious, be careful, be very cautious and be very careful. You know, um, there are secret meetings being held in high places by able men and women, who conspire to ensure that this global famine will come. And trust me, it's coming. So be careful, you know. And again, every now and again when we're sharing words like this, you get people who come to question, sometimes I believe it's due to people's unpreparedness. So that fear that grips their hearts makes them, like question or ridicule and mock, words such as these. But like I always say, always test the spirit. Always pray about things that you hear online, and seek God's face about them. Don't just take people's words at face value. But yeah, always pray about it and seek the Lord about anything you hear from anyone, wherever. So, but yeah, what I will encourage you is to say, do not become a victim of the unwise. I'm always reminded of the story of the, wise virgins, you know, who had oil in their lamps. That's preparedness. So, yeah, do not become a victim of the unwise and, sort of like join their bandwagon. In the Bible, in Proverbs 13, verse 20, I believe, it says that he who walks with the wise will become wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. That's in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. So I encourage you to open your eyes today, because the time is now. Do not be deceived, because control is at the heart of the matter in this season. So in this season, I encourage you to be very intentional in your walk. Be very intentional about your choices. We're living in a different time. Things are no longer the same. So, you have to be very, very intentional and careful. There are things going on beyond what you can ever think or imagine, you know. So I encourage you to be very cautious and intentional. But most importantly, I encourage you to be God sufficient in this season. Be God sufficient. Trust me. You want to be God sufficient, because on your own, you will not be able to survive. You will not be able to make it. So seek the Lord for direction. Seek the Lord for direction, because control is being released in ways unimaginable. And many minds are so distracted that they remain asleep. Attentions are very diverted, by, created illusions of joy. People think, it's a joyous time that things are okay. And I always say this is the calm before the storm. Anytime when there's a certain illusion or appearance of calmness, usually there's a storm lurking. And this is that time. There is literally an illusion of calmness, but really, this is that calm before the storm. So many attentions are diverted, in vast ways, but life is changing so fast, so vast, and so many people are very asleep, that this global famine that's coming, that's already, like, just like hidden in plain sight, it's there. But people need to wake up and smell the coffee. People need to wake up, literally. And I always say to people, like, open your eyes. Don't just open your eyes to look. Don't just open your, many people see, but many people do not perceive. I always say this, and I always repeat it. Sometimes it sounds like a parrot that just keeps repeating certain things, but trust me, there is wisdom in this repetition. But yeah, open your eyes to perceive. You need to perceive in the spirit, and you will see what is going on. Seek the Lord for direction. Seek the Lord. Ask the Lord to open your eyes. The Bible says that if you lack wisdom, ask and it will be given. So I want to encourage you in this season and beyond to just seek the Lord, trust in God's direction. Take heed and do not underestimate or, have a condescending attitude towards the things of God. Take heed, because you will be glad that you listened. You will be glad that you made the necessary preparations and changes to your life or your lifestyle. So I encourage you today, brothers and sisters, take heed, and God bless you, and be wise and intentional in your walk. See you next time. Bye-bye.